Educational Information and Communication Technology presents Educational Satellite Television Programs.
Hello, teacher. Hello, students. Welcome to today's lesson on common human disease in Ethiopia. In our last lesson, we learned about tapeworm infection. Today, we will look at malaria. We will learn about the causes, symptoms, and how it is prevented. Let us begin the lesson. Malaria is an infectious disease that is caused by parasites and is transmitted by a female Anopheles mosquito. When a female mosquito bites a human, it transfers the single-celled parasite Plasmodium through its saliva into the blood of the person. There are several species of Plasmodium that cause malaria in people. They are Plasmodium falciparum, Plasmodium noesli, Plasmodium malariae, Plasmodium ovale, Plasmodium semi-ovale, Plasmodium vivax. Plasmodium vivax and Plasmodium falciparum cause the most malaria in people. During the life cycle of a mosquito, the female needs 2 meals of human blood to provide protein for her developing eggs. Young mosquitoes first ingest the malaria parasite by feeding on a person who is infected. Once ingested, the malaria parasite cells that are taken up in the blood will change into male or female cells. Then they fuse into the mosquito's gut. The cells will penetrate through the gut lining and form in the gut wall. When the cells in the gut wall bursts, it releases Plasmodium sporozoites that travel through the mosquito's body to the salivary glands. Sporozoites are cell forms that infect new hosts. When the sporozoites are in the salivary glands, they are ready to infect a new human host. The sporozoites are injected into the skin, along with saliva, when the mosquito takes a bite of a human. Let us review what we have just learned. Students, can you name the 2 types of Plasmodium species that cause the most malaria? Please Write your answer on a piece of notebook paper.
Students, let's get ready. Begin. Time's up. Let's get back to our lesson.
Welcome back, students. Were you able to answer the question? The correct answer is Plasmodium vivax and Plasmodium falciparum. Let us continue with the lesson. When a plasmodium enters the blood, they are called sporozoites. These sporozoites go to the liver, where they multiply. They change into a different kind of plasmodium called a merozoite that travels into the red blood cells and multiplies into many more merozoites. The merozoites break out of the red blood cells repeatedly. When this happens, the infected person gets very sick and shows the symptoms of malaria. Once a person has contracted malaria, it takes between 10 to 30 days to start showing symptoms. However, there are some exceptions that people who get the disease may start showing symptoms within a few days, or others may not show the symptoms for over a year. When someone has malaria, they experience fever, chills, sweating, vomiting, and an overall feeling of exhaustion. These symptoms and the damage the parasites cause to the blood and liver of the affected person means they cannot function normally. Pregnant women and children are the people that are most hurt by the disease. Every year, 300 to 700 million people get malaria, and it kills 1 to 2 million people a year. In Ethiopia, 20% of children under 5 who die each year are killed by malaria. If someone is HIV positive and he or she becomes infected by malaria, the chance of developing full-blown AIDS greatly increases. Students, why do you think malaria is a serious problem? Take a few moments to write a sentence answering this question.
Students, let's get ready. Begin. Time's up. Let's get back to our lesson.
Welcome back, students. Malaria is a serious problem because it affects millions of people worldwide. The symptoms of malaria are painful, and it can also be life-threatening because the blood supply to vital organs is interrupted. Malaria must be treated immediately. Currently, there has not been an effective vaccine developed to prevent malaria. There is no way to 100% protect ourselves from the disease. One way to fight off malaria is to medically treat it right away. Unfortunately, in Ethiopia, many people live a long way from medical centers and drugs can be expensive. Instead, we must focus on controlling the Anopheles mosquito that spreads the disease. We can control mosquitoes in the following ways. Avoid contact. If we limit our exposure to mosquitoes, we decrease our chances of being bitten. By using mosquito repellents, having screens on our doors and windows at home, and by wearing clothing that protects our skin from mosquitoes, we can try to avoid contact with them. Stop them from breeding. Mosquitoes lay their eggs in still water, such as a garden pond, a flower pot, or an old drink can. If we take away their places to breed, we minimize the number of mosquitoes that could be born. The simplest way to limit the area for mosquito breeding is by storing your items out of the rain and disposing of rubbish properly. It is also important to properly remove sewage. If we make sure human waste is thoroughly disposed of, we will limit the areas mosquitoes can breed. Biological and chemical measures are also used to control mosquitoes. Pesticides and introducing a mosquito-eating organism into the breeding grounds will help decrease the number of mosquitoes as well. For our final activity, students, can you list one thing that you are going to do to prevent yourself from getting malaria?
Students, let's get ready. Begin. Time's up. Let's get back to our lesson.
Welcome back, students. I hope you all listed one thing that you can do to avoid getting malaria. This brings us to the end of our lesson today. To review what we have learned, we talked about malaria, how it is transmitted, what its symptoms are, and how we can control it. I hope you all enjoyed today's lesson. Until next time, thank you, teacher. Thank you, students.